When is a mermaid not a mermaid? When it's a Lamiak, of course. Found exclusively in the Basque region of Spain, these river spirits are in a class all by themselves. One thing they do have in common with many other legendary creatures is that people don't always agree on what they look like. Some say they have fish tails like a mermaid, others that they have 2 feet like a human, except there is a web more like a duck's. For those Lamiak who do have webbed feet, it's also strongly suggested that they are very sensitive about it, meaning anyone caught staring at their feet instead of their faces is likely to regret it. Regardless, fish tail or duck feet, one thing the locals do agree on is Lamiaks are extremely beautiful, with long silky hair, usually golden, but maybe not always. They're often found near springs, caves, and rivers. Like a mermaid, the Lamiak, when seen, is usually combing out her long hair with a comb made of gold. These combs are reputed to be magic, and why wouldn't they be? Specifically, combing her hair is believed to be a Lamiak's way of controlling the weather and enriching the land. In some accounts, avaricious and stealthy, humans have been known to succeed in stealing those combs. Now, unless you want to see yourself and all your descendants cursed, it's a bad idea. One story tells of a man who stole a Lamiak's comb, and even though he was finally persuaded to return it, wound up cursed anyway. You don't mess with a Lamiak's comb. Simply noting these dangers might make the Lamiak appear vindictive, but all I can say is, well, obviously they can be. They are also believed to be extremely helpful and generous when treated with respect and kindness. They're a lot like the better humans that way. Farmers who leave offerings such as food near a spot where a Lamiak is known to reside have had their fields plowed for them overnight, something the farmers themselves couldn't have managed in so short a time. Many legends speak of the Lamiak being the ones who taught the locals how to farm in the first place, and work metal and master the healing arts. Another helpful trait of the Lamiak is they like to build bridges where they're needed. You wouldn't know it to look at them, but the Lamiak are very strong. They built their bridges out of stone, shifting them into place with no other aid but their own. The only limitation is the Lamiak had to do it in one night, as with the plowing. If the rooster started crowing before they were finished, that was it, and the bridge always had a few stones missing. Many so-called Lamiak bridges still exist today and are so noted by the locals. Some spoil sports argue these are really Roman-era bridges, like the Noblia Bridge in Navarre, that were associated with Lamiak in later folklore. Believe whichever version makes you happier. I'm siding with the Lamiaks. I don't want them mad at me if I ever make it to Basque country. Because of their beauty, it was no surprise that human men often fell in love with them. Now, Lamiaks could be persuaded to marry humans. Unfortunately, these relationships seldom lasted, and for many of the same reasons that human and other Fae relationships seldom did, and the Lamiak are solidly among the Fae. There were always specific conditions attached to such a marriage. For example, I did mention before how sensitive the Lamiak are about their feet. One story of a man who married a Lamiak stated that she did so on the condition that he never make fun of her feet. And of course he swore he wouldn't. Likely he meant what he said at the time. Well, you can guess what happened. One day during an argument, of course he broke his word, and that was that. She left, never to return. She did let their children stay, and no doubt some families in the Basque community claim descent from the Lamiak to this day. One reason a Lamiak might be persuaded to marry a human in the first place, despite the risk, was that male Lamiaks, called Mydiak, did exist, but were very rare. They were reputed to be even stronger than the Lamiak, and so were believed to have built the Neolithic dolmens scattered around the area, such as the Dolmen of San Martin, Aithkominde, and the Witch's House. The coming of Christianity never quite managed to displace the Lamiak, but it did force changes. In some accounts, they were even reputed to have then built churches as they once built bridges. Some believed them to be fallen angels or simply pagan nature spirits who constructed churches as part of their alleged punishment. In the more rural areas, the Lamiak remain as they always were, beautiful, sitting beside the rivers with their golden combs and blessing the land. I like to think of them in just that way.